One of the reasons that I think that tabletop wargaming is a great hobby is because it's one of the few hobbies outside of, say, doing something in the arts where you can still have a very kind of creative hand in what you're doing. Let's look at fishing. There's nothing wrong with fishing. Fishing's a great hobby. I know plenty of people that do it. My dad used to do it when I was a little kid. I used to kind of hang around and play with the dead fish and stuff like that. Not particularly fish when I would go with him, but still, I got to see that up close and firsthand. My dad used to tie flies, the little lures. You take a hook and some thread and some different little colored feathers and just different things and pipe cleaners and whatever, and you make these flies, which you then can cast out to catch fish. There's some creativity in that. You have specific rules that you kind of need to follow. Certain type of fish will only bite on a certain type of color, on a certain type of day, if it's overcast or if it's sunny or whatever. But generally there's some craftsmanship and there's a bit of creativity. You can kind of get a little fancy if you want to with something like fishing. But that's about as creative as that kind of sport gets. And if you're talking about sports in general, football, hockey, soccer, baseball, I guess, there's not a lot of creativity there. You're there to get some points and to hit a ball and to do a thing. And that's fine, and obviously millions, if not billions of people really enjoy it. Not for me, but a lot of people do like that kind of stuff. But again, I don't think that it's in my mind, there's a lot of creativity that you can bring to it as a person who's going to get involved with it. But with tabletop wargaming, there's a ton of creativity that you can get involved with. Beyond the putting the models together, which just step one right there, you can follow the instructions. You can kind of sit there and go, oh yeah, I'm going to make my Space Marines look just like those Space Marines in the picture. But you can also do a lot of other things. You can convert, use different parts, fabricate parts, do all kinds of stuff, green stuff, all kinds of things that you can do just before you even start putting, a bristle to the actual model. You can actually do tons of different interesting kind of stuff to the actual model itself. Conversion, building, all that stuff. Then you get into painting. And obviously, again, you can completely follow the, overall look that the company says, this is what Tau look like, or this is what Imperial Guard look like. But you can also go do whatever you want. And even if you follow within the lines and say, okay, I'm going to paint them like this, you can put in little bits of creativity here and there. There's all kinds of little things you can add. Or you can just go completely off the reservation and just decide, yep, this is the direction I'm going in with these particular models, and this is what we're going to do. And there's tons and tons of stuff involved in just the creativity, the outlet of just painting alone. And then, of course, there's the terrain. Every single time that you are going to sit down to play, you should have good-looking terrain. And yeah, you can go out and buy some terrain. And again, it's the Lego syndrome. You can get the box of Legos, and then you can follow step by step and put it all together, and there you have a police station. Awesome, But you could also make a different-looking police station. And there are different types of people who say, this is what I want it to look like. I want it to look like this. And there are the people who are like, I'm going to follow the instructions. And both are completely valid. But when you start to do your own thing, you get to kind of bring out more of your own creativity. So, and with terrain, like I said, if you buy a kit, that's great. But there are amazing, amazing things that you can find just by doing a simple Google image search on the internet. Amazing pieces of terrain that get built completely from scratch. It's not a kit. It's not anything. It's a pile of foam and foam core and some wood and a bunch of glue and some gravel, and then after potentially a couple of weeks you get a castle or a space station or whatever. So there's a lot of creativity that can go into this particular hobby. It's one of the things that I like most about it, because I'm not a good player. Let's just be perfectly honest. I'm not here to play in tournaments and to win. I'm not a competitive player. I enjoy playing, and I enjoy having a good time while I'm playing. But what I really like about it is being able to sit down and kind of build this stuff and do what I want and express and create in my hobby. I personally believe that you should try to create as much as you can. There are plenty of people who go home every day after work and they sit down and just let entertainment wash over them. And sometimes you're just really just knackered after a long day of work, and that's what happens, and that's fine. But I have to create. That's kind of, well, that's what I'm doing here. I'm making these videos. I have to create. And I think that more people should try to do that stuff. If you're interested in 40K or Infinity or Malifaux or any of these types of games, but you just paint them in the way they're supposed to be painted, if you paint at all, there are plenty of people out there who don't paint the models. They just put them together and then they're done with it. But if you just follow the rules and you just do what you're supposed to and you buy a couple of pieces of pre-made terrain, that's fine, you can do that. But there's so much that you can do to bring more of the game kind of from your mind onto the table, where people can, other people, the people you're playing against, let's say, can look at it and go, wow, that's really nice. And that kind of stuff, to me, the creativity behind making the world, we're all sitting here, you know, over these toy soldiers on a table in a room somewhere or a basement. But when you spend a lot of time, or even not that much time, but you spend a lot of thought and creativity on what you're doing, it really elevates it and makes it something else.